And now our first speaker. Peter Tabuns is currently the Member of Provincial Parliament for Toronto Danforth riding. He is the former Executive Director of Greenpeace Canada and also served as a Toronto City Councillor. Prior to being a City Councillor, he was President of Citizens for a Safe Environment and helped end garbage incineration in the Toronto Portlands. Peter Tabuns.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Folks, in Germany, in Hamburg, on the waterfront, sits the offices of Greenpeace Germany. And in that building, in the campaign director's office, there's a very large black and white photo taken in 1945, probably from one of the few remaining church spires in that city. And it's a view of ruins as far as you can see. And that picture is there to remind the people in Greenpeace what can happen when a society gets things totally wrong. How bad it can be if you make fundamental mistakes in the direction of your society. And when I was there, I had an opportunity to talk to Harold Zindler, and Harold was one of the founders of Greenpeace Germany. He's a big guy, bright guy, and he was born in that city, in those ruins, at the end of World War II. And he told me, you know, when I became a teenager, in my late teens, and I started talking to the other teenagers, we read about what had happened. We read. We wanted to know what had happened to our city, to our country. And when they read and when they understood, they went to their parents, lots of them, and they said, "You knew. Oh yeah, you knew what you were doing. You knew what you were going to bring down on us. You knew." Well, I have to tell you, in this society today, a lot of people know. I was at an event a few years ago, sponsored by the Schulich School of Business. They were talking to executives about environmental issues. I was invited in for a little color. An interesting guy spoke, Ray Anderson from Interface Carpeting. Ray's a very bright man, and he spoke to these CEOs, these executives, in their language. And he said, you know what? You have to understand this. The economy is a wholly owned subsidiary of the environment. The economy, human society, rests on the foundation of the environment that provides us with life. A lot of people know. Look at climate change and its impact, potential impact, on our society and our world. 1997, federal government published the Canada Country Study, a look province by province by province at the impact of climate change on a wide range of factors implicating or impacting on this country. In the prairie provinces, they cited a study showing the risk of a 30% drop in Canadian grain production under the climate change projections then available. 30%. Canada is one of the bread baskets of the world. When you have a 30% drop in food production, you have hunger. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, when they looked at world rice production, they came out with an estimate, 10% drop in world rice production for every centigrade degree increase in world temperature. Well, we're talking about increases of 6 degrees centigrade, and I gather more in some of the later, more recent projections. You know what that means in world terms. Even politicians can figure this out. You get a population line going up like this, and you get a food production line going down like that. That's a recipe. It's a recipe for conflict. It's a recipe for military confrontation. It's a profound consequence for us. And we need to make a difference. Now, everyone has to do some of it. Everyone has a part to play, but governments in particular have a leading role that they have to play to address the issues that confront our society today. Governments can make regulation, they can make laws, they can change the framework within which the economy operates. They can provide real leadership if they are dominated by real leaders. Right now, things are totally dismal at the federal and provincial levels. At the federal level, we have a prime minister who thinks that George Bush understands the environment. That is one scary thought. At the provincial level, here in Ontario, the provincial Liberals, they've abandoned the coal phase-out. They've committed to nuclear in a way that was unthinkable 3 or 4 years ago. They don't have a climate plan. They don't have an environmental plan for any of the profound crises that we face. And I have to tell you this. They know. Oh, yeah. They really do know. I had a chance to question the Minister of the Environment at estimates. I asked her about climate change. She knows. Don't be mistaken. She's making decisions not in a fog of ignorance. She knows. When we had a debate on climate change in the legislature a week or two ago, we had backbenchers standing up and speaking. They know, and yet no action. So in this country today, one of the bright lights, one of the potentials, is Toronto. Big place, big player. Now, it's laboring under some very, very tough burdens because, as you know, Mike Harris got the cities to subsidize the province to the tune of about $3 billion a year. So Toronto is staggering under that burden of subsidizing the province. That has been a huge problem for making advance here. But I don't think we should let that stop us. We should recognize that it as a limitation, but it shouldn't stop us. The environmental plan that Jack Layton put together when he was a city councillor was a good plan. It was good then, it's good now, it needs to be moved forward. Jack was always a pioneer, along with Richard Gilbert and Greg Allen. He was one of the early promoters of deep lake water cooling in this city. If people are interested, there's a flyer there, Green Plan for Canada, what Jack is promoting now at the federal level. You can have an impact in this city. We can set the rules around density. We can set the rules around land use. That, in turn, really shapes the transportation system. Crucial power. The city's been a leader in energy conservation and demand management, not as much as is needed, but frankly, in this province, a real leader. It can go a lot further. With financial help from the province, if the province stopped freeloading off the city could do things like invest in solar hot water across all the multi-res apartments in this city. It could invest in cogeneration in all its social housing. It could have a big impact. This city is doing a lot about waste diversion, but it could do a lot more. It's already a leader. It could become a far more profound and effective leader. So I want to say that you, all you folks here today, citizens, candidates, you have an opportunity to change the course of history. You have the opportunity to change the course of history. You know what will happen if you don't change that course. And frankly, your children will know what you did. Don't step back.